Okay, this is April 28th, 2026. And so I was just talking about um, going through this past year. And during this past year, there was a period of where I was unhoused and homeless. So it was a crisis situation. And it was one of the most difficult things I've been through. And then I'm still in a position of being impoverished. But I was just talking about the Planes and People Watching manuscript that I started revising. It was pre-written. I think I wrote it in maybe 2 years prior, so maybe 2023, I think, or 2024. Anyways, but one of the main things that got me through, first and foremost, just obedience to God and focusing on God brought me through. So I always want to make sure that's clear, like God is my foundation. In His Word and His commands are my foundation. And so I always want to be a hearer and a doer of His Word. But when it comes to the Planes and the People Watching manuscript, I had a focus. I had something that I had determined to complete. And I've always had the attitude of when I set my mind to do something, I will keep my word. It's very important for me to keep my word. And regardless of what comes up, regardless of what consequences come from it, regardless of any unseen issues or this or that, I'm going to complete what I started out or set out to do. And in the past, that was always very difficult for me. I had many projects that I would start and I'd be full of so much gumption, so much energy, and so much ambition. And then it's kind of like a balloon that's got full of water and you poke a whole bunch of little holes in it. It's hemorrhaging water, it's leaking water. And then all of a sudden, the balloon starts to shrivel up and that which was inside of it leaks out quickly. That's what used to happen to me. But I've learned to keep the priority. There's always going to be things that will try to come into your life that want to take that position of prioritization. And those are the things that I've learned you need to see clearly and then ensure that you take responsibility over those things and do not allow those things to come in. And so when I was going through, even when I was unhoused, I remember mentally preparing myself, and I thought, regardless, so if I'm unhoused, well, I'm going to keep with the same working out routine. I'm going to keep walking. My knee was bad last year, but if my knee was better, then I would go to the track and do sprints. So whatever I can do to keep up with the physical exercise. The physical exercise is great for you physically, but I've also learned that physical exercise is also immensely good for you and crucial for you mentally and even emotionally. It's oh goodness, especially when you're going through something that's difficult. It's a good release of good energy and profitable energy. It's a great investment, and the dividends or the rewards, they're immediate. But anyways, so I focused on it, and I had preparations in my mind. So even tonight, I'm just walking around. I would continue with this last year, but I'd make sure I was in bed probably around 9:30, but definitely before 10, and that I got a good night's sleep, and I'd be up around 5. And so that routine was very important. And then if I didn't have a house, then I'd have to find resources. I'd have to be resourceful and find resources in the community where I could charge my electronics, so charge my laptop in this case. And that's virtually all I really needed. Laptop and internet, and the internet was just from time to time, but so I needed a place to charge it, and then a table and a chair where I could sit down and I could do the revision and do the editing or writing. And and then the videos too. I did a whole bunch of videos so I could chronicle or document the experience. And so all I needed was my phone and a clear and coherent mind. So I just needed to ensure that my phone was charged and I was being charged, in terms of getting good sleep, but also being very intentional with what I ate. So choosing food that was very healthy for me, and food that I had learned through experience and through trial and error would provide me with good, clean energy, and would also, contribute to a thought life that wasn't racing, and a thought life that was just more slowed down, so I could harness it and and then really focus my thought life for increased periods of time. So like that, at that heightened level of focus. So then going through a period of homelessness or being unhoused just turned into going through a challenge that was very, very, a very big challenge, a very difficult challenge, a challenge where the things that I would often take for granted of always having within arm's reach were now things that I had to actually seek out. And the ability to wake up and just to write or to edit at any time, or this or that. Even like with eating, like when I was unhoused, I had to think about purchasing food that could be stored in the shade, that didn't need to be refrigerated, so food that wouldn't spoil and that I could actually have access to. So I didn't need a can opener, I didn't need to cook it. So there's a lot of variables that I normally wouldn't consider because they're non-issues, or they were non-issues. So those rose to the surface. But anyways, so I kept with the focus, and praise God, things weren't as bad as they could have been. And that manuscript was self-published in November. So I'm very, very thankful and very happy that I had that as a focus, and it was a delight to complete, and completing it while going through a crisis situation. That's always going to be very special to me moving forward. I wouldn't say that's a masterpiece by any stretch of the banner, but it's authentic and it's sincere, and it was produced in a very organic, authentic, and sincere way.